After covering the cost of my brother's wedding, I checked my account and found that $8,400 had disappeared. Mom laughed. You can't do anything, Trembling. I reached in my bag. Don't worry about what happens next. Amid their laughter, a loud noise shook the house when they saw who entered next. Yesterday was my younger brother Ted's wedding. My boyfriend Ian, who's a lawyer, and I were getting ready to return to Seattle. Before checking out of the hotel, I opened my banking app to pay the hotel bill. That the number on the screen froze me, and place in my voice trembled. What is it? My account. $8,400 is gone from my account. Gone. What do you mean? He looked over my shoulder at the screen. I pointed at the number with a trembling hand. There was over $10,000 here last weekend. Now there's only $1,600 in frowned, and took my phone. He quickly checked the transaction history and saw a series of unfamiliar transfers. $2,000 toward a credit card payment under my sister Amelia, his name, for $1,000 to an account under the name of her husband Nicholas, $2,400 to my mother's account. All of it was done last night while I was in the shower. I was at a loss for words. I didn't make these transactions. Someone accessed your account. He and his voice was low and edged with anger. Anna, we need to contact the bank immediately. As we came down to the hotel lobby, my mother called. The timing was strange. Anna, thank you for yesterday. Ted was really happy. Her voice was as normal as ever. Mom, I need to ask you something. I tried to sound calm. There was several $1,000s transferred from my account yesterday. Do you know anything about that? After a brief pause, she laughed brightly. Oh, that it was actually less than I expected. Her words froze me. What do you mean? Amelia said. So she saw your account had more money than she thought, so we decided to split it. My mind went blank. Nicholas said. You always have money, but no real use for it. Just think of it as a wedding gift for Ted, okay? He noticed my expression and came closer. I put the call on the speaker. Mom, that's theft. My voice trembled. Oh, don't be so dramatic. We're family, aren't we? You always think only about yourself. You're single and make a high salary. Of course, you should help your family. He answered the phone from my hand. Hello, I'm Match's boyfriend. What you've done is illegal. Withdrawing money from her account without her permission is a crime. Oh, the lawyer, stay out of family matters, will you? Her voice grew colder. I took the phone back. Mom, how did you access my account? Asked Amelia. She did it. And with that she hung up. We left the hotel and got into the car. He and silently held my hand. Let's go to my parents' house, I said firmly. I want to hear truth directly. 30 minutes later, we were standing at my parents' front door. Before I knocked, in placed a hand on my shoulder. Stay calm, don't let emotions take over. I nodded and knocked. A voice came from inside. It was Nicholas. My father opened the door. Oh, Anna, I thought you were leaving already. I walked straight to the living room. Amelia, Nicholas, and my mother were there. Nicholas still had a smile on his face. I was sure he was the one I had heard laughing earlier. They had been talking about something, but fell silent when I entered. How did you access my account? My voice shook. Amelia shrugged. In the hotel room while you were in the shower. Your password was easy. You always use the same one. Why? My voice was hoarse. Nicholas replied. Why? Because we needed the money. You live a luxurious life alone, but we have kids to raise. He spoke as if it was the most natural thing in the world. Lounging on the sofa, anger surged inside me. Don't try to justify stealing, Anna. Don't make such a big deal out of this. My mother said it in atonement to calm me down. My face, Arthur, still seated, opened his newspaper. Keep your voice down, and stepped forward. Anna has supported all of you for years. She gave Harry inexpensive birthday gift. She bought Margaret a game console. Isn't that enough? Amelia scoffed. That's just her duty, isn't it? Anna, single, no kids. We have responsibilities. Harry's lessons, Margaret's school, all of it costs me. Any. Nicholas, still smiling, added. It was only a small portion of your money. Anyway, you make a lot, don't you? I felt a flood of memories flash before my eyes like a slideshow. The list of wants Amelia had sent for Harry's 10th birthday. Even the cheapest item was over $300. I had wanted to say no, but my mother said, you're not going to give your niece anything. You're better off than the rest of us. And in the end, I bought an expensive tablet. Now those moments look different to me. I wasn't blessed. I was being used. I want it back, I said firmly. Every cent right now. Nicholas laughed again. That's impossible. It's already gone. We used it for Ted's wedding gift, to pay off some debts, and a little shopping. Shopping, Amelia answered. The smart watch. Nicholas wanted the same. When you are flaunting, my head spun. Flaunting, that was a gift from Ia to celebrate my promotion, something precious to me. Anna, my mother said, you always overreact. We're family. It's only natural to London borrow money. London borrow B, and said, this is theft. My father raised his head for the first time. Young lawyer, don't be dramatic. Don't bring the law into a family matter. I stood frozen. This was my family, the people I loved and supported. But to them I was just an 80. I'm Anna, let's go, he said, placing a hand on my shoulder. There's no point in staying. As we walked toward the door, Amelia called out from behind, don't be so mad with your salary, you'll make it back in no time, and we truly needed that money more than you. When I turned around, she looked like she meant every word, not a trace of guilt, as if I was selfish for trying to protect my own money. Goodbye. I said, don't ever contact me again. When I got into the car, the tears came. How can a family be this cruel? I rested my head against the steering wheel and cried and silently rubbed my back. Anna, I wasn't joking earlier. This really is a crime. What they did is illegal access and theft. But their family, that doesn't give them the right to hurt you, he said, his eyes serious. Think about it. If a stranger stole $8,400 from your account when you go straight to the police, I nodded. Then why should it be okay just because they're family? If anything, they should be the ones protecting her. Respecting you, his words echoed inside me. On the way back, we decided to stop by Ted's apartment. He was supposed to leave for his honeymoon soon, but said he was still packing. When he opened the door, he looked tired. Anna, what's wrong? I thought you'd already left. What happened? Looking at my face, Ted seemed to sense something serious had occurred. $8,400 was stolen from my account. Amelia, Nicholas, and Mom and Dad seemed to be involved. Ted's face was drained of color. What? While I was taking a shower at the hotel, Amelia apparently used my phone to transfer the money. Ted silently held his head in his hands. No way. He was at a loss for words. I knew Amelia and Nicholas had been talking about money a lot lately, but I never imagined they'd do something like this. Mom and Dad said not to worry about it because it was a wedding gift for you, he said quietly. Ted looked up, eyes filled with anger. I didn't know anything. I never asked them to do that. Anna, please believe me. I do, Ted. I'm not blaming you, I said, placing a hand on my brother's shoulder. What are you going to do? Ted asked nervously. I don't know yet, but I can't just let this go. Yeah, what they did was wrong, he said, choosing his words carefully. But if possible, please don't do anything that will break up the family. I'm not the one who broke his family, I said coldly. Tag gave a small nod. I know, it's just he trailed off. Anna, we should get going, and said, trying to ease the tension. Ted walked us to the door and gave me an awkward hug. Anna, I'm really sorry. I wish there were more I could do. I gently patted his back. I didn't want to ruin your wedding. My wedding isn't as important as how you feel, Ted said, though his eyes showed hesitate. When he was torn, wanting to protect me while also trying to maintain his ties with the rest of the family. Back at our apartment, we sat in silence for a long time. He was in the kitchen making coffee, occasionally glancing at me. Feeling any calmer, he asked, handing me a mug. I nodded silently and said in a trembling voice, I can't believe that this acts really happened. I never realized they were using me. And held my hand. Because you're kind, because you trusted your family. But this time is different. They accessed my account without permission and stole my money. And thought for a moment. Anna, this is clearly a crime. You have the right to take legal action. You mean report them to the police? My own family? Yes. They're the ones who did something wrong, not you. The next morning and left early, saying he had some things to look into. I stayed home from work and spent the whole day in the apartment. In the afternoon, in returned. Take a look at this, he said, carrying a large file. He spread it out on the living room table. Materials on financial crimes and a detailed guide on how to gather evidence of another theorized access. I consulted with a colleague at my firm who specializes in financial crime and explained, according to her, financial exploitation by family members is more common than we think. Single high-income earners tend to be targets. I flipped through the documents. Is all of this really necessary? They re my family, he and looked serious. Anna, what they did was a crime. If you don't do anything this time, they will just do it again, and next time it could be for even more. So what should I do first? We collect evidence, he said, bank statements, signs of unauthorized access, past transfer records. All of it. From that day on, I began reviewing my financial records for the past 3 years. Indeed, I sorted everything chronologically: bank statements, transfer records, emails, text messages. There's so much, I said in disbelief, opening the file. Just in the past year, the total amount I had sent or loaned to my family exceeded $15,000. The list went on and on. This isn't normal, I said as I looked at the list. This is one-sided exploitation. Another thing I noticed was the pattern and how they ask for money. They would start with sweet words, and when I hesitated, they'd say things like, we're family, or you're more fortunate than us, to make me feel guilty, and finally they would end with, blame, you're selfish. It's mind control. Over the weekend, in brought over a lawyer friend. Her name was Sonia, and she specialized in financial crime. Honor, This is a clear case of financial abuse, just because their family doesn't make it acceptable. But think about it, if this were about Ivan and a stranger had stolen $8,400 from his account, what would you tell him? I tell him to report her to the police. And what if it were his parents or siblings? I fell silent. A crime is a crime. Sonia said being family doesn't mean they get a free pass. In fact, because they're family, it's an even deeper betrayal. Her words pierced my heart and spoke quietly. Anna, I'll support whatever decision you make, but you're not alone. We're in this together. Because I love my family, I have to stop their behavior. They don't respect me, they ignore my feelings, and have betrayed my trust. I made up my mind. Even let's do it. I'll report this to the Financial Crimes Division. He exhaled with relief. You're making the right choice, Anna. We scheduled an appointment with the Financial Crimes Division. The officer in charge was a woman named Taylor. Miss Moore, please tell me the full situation, she said. I began explaining in a trembling voice what happened on the night of the wedding. The $8,400 that vanished from my account, my family's reaction, and the pattern of exploitation over the last 3 years. Taylor listened quietly, occasionally taking notes, and sat beside me, adding technical explanations when needed. Do you have any evidence? Taylor asked. He handed over a prepared folder. Bank records, evidence of unauthorized access, patterns of previous transfers, emails, and text message conversations. After thoroughly reviewing the contents, Taylor looked up. Miss Moore, this is clear evidence of financial crime. There are signs of unauthorized access, theft, and possibly long-term financial abuse. What happens next? I asked nervously. First, we'll begin a preliminary investigation that includes interviews with involved parties, gathering further evidence, and verifying the legal criteria for the crime. If enough evidence is found, we'll forward the case to the prosecutor. I took a deep breath. Will they be arrested? It depends on the circumstances. However, actions such as freezing accounts or seizing assets may be taken. The reality of the situation began to sink in. My own family might face legal consequences. Are you having doubts? Taylor, as gently. I shook my head. No. It's just they're my family. Miss Moore, she said seriously, one of the most common cases we handle involves financial crimes committed by family or close relations. You are a victim. Please don't blame yourself. Those words felt like something inside me had been released. I was a victim, and victims have the right to seek justice. Please proceed with the investigation, I said with resolve. The next morning, my phone was flooded with text messages and missed calls, all from my family. The first message was from Amelia. Anna, did you really report us to the police? They're saying our accounts might be frozen. I can't pay Harry's tuition or take Margaret to her dance lessons. I can't believe you do this to us. Next came a message from Nicholas, and then one from my mother. Anna, what have you done? The police came to the house. What will the neighbors think? You've brought shame to this family. Please withdraw the report immediately. Your father says his heart is hurting. What if something happens to him because of you? I replied with only one line, that your own doing. I don't care. There's no going back to the version of me who allowed herself to be used. The next day, when I returned home from work, Amelia was standing in front of my apartment. Her eyes were red, and her makeup was smudged. Anna, she shouted the moment she saw me. Why are you doing this? We're family, Amelia, I said, keeping my distance. If you want to talk, I'll call in that lawyer. She scoffed. He's the one controlling you. You weren't like this before. You met him. He used to care about your family. Caring about family and being exploited are two different things, I said with a trembling voice. Exploited? Amelia raised her voice. All we did was ask for help. Now Nicholas might lose his job because the police contacted his company. What about Harry and Margaret? Have you even thought about them? At that moment, I felt a wave of anger. Have I thought about them? I've always thought about everyone else. But did anyone think about me? When you stole money from my account, did any of you think about me? Amelia took a step back for the first time. I saw fear in her eyes. You've changed, she murmured. That's right, I have changed, because I'm done being used. A few days later, Ted came to visit. I heard everything about the police investigation, Ted. I didn't have a choice, I know. But everyone's panicking, especially Amelia. She's scared for the kids. That's their problem. They're the ones who stole from me. Ted let out a deep sigh. Ted, are you taking their side? No, he answered immediately. He stared silently at the floor. Is there anything I can do? Anyway, I can help. If you really are on my side, tell them what they did was wrong and that they owe me an apology. I'll try talking to them, he said weakly, but I don't know if they'll listen. After Ted left and wrapped his arm around my shoulder. Are you okay? Yeah, it just hurts seeing Ted caught in the middle. He didn't do anything wrong. He has to choose where he stands. And it's clear who's in the right, he said gently. A few days later, he came to me with important news. Amelia and Nicholas are going to be prosecuted for unauthorized access and theft. Your parents are under investigation for conspiracy. Here they're going to prison. My voice was quiet in the, and that's up to the judge and explained. But since it's their first offense, there's a high chance the sentence will be suspended. Still, they'll most likely be ordered to repay the stolen money and cover damages. That night, I received a phone call from my father for the first time. Anna. His voice sounded tired. Why are you doing this? The police even conducted a house search. They took my computer. Dad, I'm the victim here. Victim, he said bitterly. You're destroying your own family. Your mother can't sleep. Amelia is hysterical and Nicholas has been suspended from work. The house is at risk of foreclosure. Is this what you wanted? I took a deep breath. This is the consequence of all your actions. It's not my fault. There was silence on the other end. You're no longer our daughter. You betrayed this family. And you're not welcome back. After the call ended, I collapsed to the floor. I wanted to cry. But no tears came. Instead, a strange sense of release spread through my chest. His words hurt, but at the same time it felt like the chains that had bound me for years had finally broken. That weekend, Officer Taylor contacted me again. Amelia Walker and Nicholas Walker have been formally charged. As for your parents, due to insufficient evidence, they will not face criminal charges. However, they may still bear civil liability. There will be a preliminary hearing next week. After that, the trial date will be scheduled. She hesitated for a moment before continuing. Miss Moore, have you experienced any pressure or threats from your family? I recalled my father's final words. They've disowned me. That must be difficult, Taylor said sympathetically. But your safety is a top priority. If needed, we can consider a restraining order. I told him everything what my father had said, and how I felt cut off from my family. Anna, you're doing the right thing. He and said there are consequences to their actions, and it's not your fault. But I've lost my family. Real families are the ones who respect you and care about you. He and said quietly, they didn't respect you. They ignored your boundaries and betrayed your trust. That's not what family does. A few days later, an unfamiliar envelope appeared on my desk. Inside was a letter from someone named Marty Davis. I remembered she was Nicholas's cousin, Amelia's husband's relative. Dear Anna, the letter began, you may not remember me, but I'm Nicholas's cousin. We met a few times at family gatherings. I heard about what you did, and I want to thank you. I was surprised. And continued reading. I was in a similar situation. My family kept borrowing money for me and never paid it back. And when I refused, they called me selfish. But hearing that you stood up for yourself gave me courage. I realized I have the right to set boundaries and say no. Thank you for your bravery. Holding the letter to my chest, I felt for the first time that what I had done was right. It wasn't revenge, it was an act of self-protection. And it was something that had empowered others like Marty. Over the weekend and said, I want to take you somewhere special just for a change of pace. He drove me to a beautiful lakeside spot outside Seattle. It was sunset and the lake glowed orange beneath the setting sun. This place is gorgeous, I said in our, and took my hand and led me to a dark by the water where a small table and candles were set. What's all this? I wanted to make today special, he said with a smile. We enjoy to delicious dinner, and as the stars began to appear, he and suddenly stood up. Anna, he said, kneeling before me and pulling a small blue velvet box from his pocket. My heart started to race. These past few weeks, I've seen how strong and brave you are, and said seriously, US.